Well, good Monday morning, Mount Olive Church family and friends. I know you're not used to having me on a Monday morning, but due to some work obligations this week and me being out of town, me and Pastor, he graciously agreed to switch with me. And so I'm going to do Mondays, and I think he'll do tomorrow. Get my screen pulled up here. Hope everybody's having a great start to the week. This Monday, look for some great opportunities to serve the Lord throughout the day and throughout this week. Look for times when you can share some Jesus. So I want to get started here on the devotion and just to kind of get us started off for this week. And I'm going to go with my message that the Lord had given me that I preached on Sunday, and that being the compassion of Jesus. And I'll get to this here in just a second. And I use two different sections of scripture. I use Matthew chapter 14 and verses 12 through about 16, 17. And then I use John chapter 6. I want to go back here to the very first part here. And Jesus and the disciples, John the Baptist had just been killed, had been beheaded, and the disciples went away and buried him. They come and tell Jesus, and Jesus moves away, goes to the Sea of Galilee, and he's going to have some time just to reflect, I think, in my opinion, and kind of have some solace there to himself. And him, the disciples, they move along, and then a great multitude of people, they know where he's at, they hear him, and they had heard what this man had done. They had heard of his teachings, and, Jesus was spreading, and John the Baptist had just been killed. And so those were the two of the people. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Christ, and he had just been going through and telling everybody about this man named Jesus who was coming after him. And now Jesus is on the scene, and we see the blind are being healed, the dead are being raised, and all these, so on and so forth. So this multitude follows it out. Verse 14 of Matthew 14, it says, "And Jesus went forth, and he saw a great multitude." He's seen them. I don't think I mentioned this part Sunday morning, but, I thought that was very important too, is Jesus saw them. He was looking. He was always looking to do his Father's work. He was always about his Father's business. But he saw that multitude. And then it says, and he was moved with compassion toward them. It stirred him. It moved his heart from what they were dealing with. It moved his heart when he seen these people. And I talked about the word compassion and the Latin word from that coming from to suffer with or to relieve suffering. And a lot of times we relate that to empathy and pity. But I want to ask you this today as to kind of start your week. What is it that you have passion about? Because those things that you do have passion about, you'll be compassionate with. I hope I said that right. I hope that made sense. When you're passionate about something, if you're passionate about the work of Christ, it will cause you to have compassion for others because Jesus loved. So if you're passionate about what Jesus stood for and his characteristics and the love and the things that he done, it will cause you to have compassion towards others so they can see that. When, having compassion is when someone that or don't know is hurting or going through a hard time. When they're suffering, you suffer too. It kind of breaks your heart. We hear stories sometimes of someone that we know is dealing with a cancer and we're close to them and we have compassion on them. But what about others you don't know when you hear about them? I mentioned this Sunday or Sunday's message. I mentioned that, out of those 5,000 people were there, I can promise you all of them weren't Jesus followers. There were many that came that day to either try to find him something to have him arrested on, to tempt him with, whatever it could be. But they weren't all Jesus fans that showed up. There were probably a lot of people there that were totally against him, but still he had compassion. He had compassion. And he taught that to the disciples through the overwhelming odds that they were facing. 12 men about to feed 5,000 and considerably more. most likely. But 5,000 men faced overwhelming odds. I don't know what kind of odds you're facing today, but work with compassion. Somebody somewhere in your life today needs compassion, and the compassionate heart of Christ is what we have in us. The compassionate heart of Christ working through us will always lead them to Christ. It will always paint a picture of the love of Christ. Okay, so I hope that gets you something going to start your week out with. Somebody needs some compassion. Somebody may show compassion on you. Let that go to somebody else too. Let the Lord multiply the way he can with what he can use. I love you guys. I pray you have a great week. Remember to pray for me, and I'll pray for you. God bless. Have a great day.